So, when did you hear from Cardiff?
Well, yeah. So,
by the way, I love what you're wearing.
Oh.
It looks kind of familiar.
Yeah. So, and thank heaven it's cool in here. I was getting worried. So I get an email from Julian, who handles some of my convention appearances in England and America. And he sort of said, I've had this message from Andy Pryor, the casting director. Are you interested? And I went, oh, okay. Should I do this or not? And but you always leave the door open. So I sent back and said yes. And then, so Andy Pryor came through to me direct. I don't know why they didn't go via, because my old agency is now called Gordon and French, and I'm very great friends with Donna, who's the French part. Gordon has long since gone, so I said, yeah, okay, and then I heard nothing. For weeks I heard nothing. So that's only July. And
so it's July 2021?
Yeah, that's July 2021.
And this is before scripts are written? They haven't shown you a script or
anything? Yeah.
Are you going to do it?
And then it was suddenly all systems go. After like 3 or 4 weeks of not hearing anything, I get a phone call from Chris Chibnall, and hadn't done a deal or anything. And Chris and he asked me what I thought Tegan had done and how she'd developed since then, what her life might have been like. And so I told him what I imagined it would be. And that's how the character, as she is now, is kind of focused. And Sophie went through the same process. And so from like early July, I think it was, early mid-July, and then my costume fitting was on August 31st.
And then started filming?
A couple of days later.
Whoa, okay.
And yikes. And the other thing was, because then, after the conversation with Chris, I thought, okay, it is Thunderbirds our go, and then I was paranoid about COVID. Oh, if I get COVID, they'll recast me, blah, blah, blah. And so I focused on that instead of being terrified about the fact that I was going to be on camera until the first day of filming, when I thought, And so in my day, you rehearsed. So you'd go out and you'd do a read-through. So you'd hear how the other actors were basically going to approach the part. Then you'd go out and do the filming, and you'd get a sense of where things fitted. And then you'd go into the studio, you'd rehearse for 10 days, record for 2, rehearse for 10 days, record for 3 days. So those be long studio days, You called very early in the morning and you finish after 10 o'clock at night. No, not now. You just get on and do it. Eek. And we didn't even have a read-through. COVID.
So at what point did you get a whole script, or did you just get your parts?
I got a whole script, but it kept changing. I mean, there were alterations to it.
Okay, so what was the first scenes you filmed?
Was the first scene.
Oh,
with the phone.
By the water.
In which I could see my own face reflected. I said, sorry, you're going to have to tape over this. I thought, oh, good heavens, I look so old. How do I angle my face so that I don't look so, ooh, really? Do I look that bad? I never said I wasn't vain. That never happened. Okay? Nor do I believe that plastic surgery is necessarily a bad thing. I'm just too afraid to get it done. But I may overcome that fear. You never know.
I don't think so. Okay, so when did you know Sophie was in it? When
Oh, immediately.
Immediately?
Yeah.
So
But I had a hint. I had a hint because people had said that Chris Chibnall wanted to bring us back. And I thought, oh, that's, you know. And then, of course, you know, we had to keep it secret. Nobody was allowed. You had to sign a non-disclosure agreement in which they, you know, they agreed to take your firstborn and you know, all your assets if you know, your house, your home, everything, if you so much as whispered that you were in it. And so, yeah.
So you had 9 months or more after you'd finished filming before...
Not quite, because I had... So we finished filming in, I think the last day I did was reading in for Peter when he was doing his stuff. The last day was in November, early November, and then April, Easter,
Right.
when they showed, I think it was the Flux.
The Sea Devil.
No, the Sea Devils. It was the Sea Devil story, and the trailer went out, and oh my heavens, my Twitter feed just went berserk. I've never seen anything like it. Russell T. Davies emailed me to say, you know, a bit busy on Twitter, you know, blah, blah. Yeah, so... And then when it went out, he was really sweet and sent some nice emails. And Chris Chibnall was just lovely to us.
Were you expecting the part to be as big as it was?
No.
No.
No. That was terror, absolute terror, yeah. Because just learning lines, I hadn't had to learn lines, and I can't stand it when I see actors lying with their eyes on camera, and you can tell they're not in the moment. And I worried that if you were searching for lines that would be possible. But actually, I seem to have crossed, that was fine, as far as I can tell. It was really funny because we had a pre-release screening, and Peter Davison said to Peter, I'm dreading it. I hated watching myself at the best of times. I go back to the vanity thing. I'm vain, and I think, no, I'm much more gorgeous than that, surely. You know, so I said to Peter, oh, heavens, you know, and he said, look, I always watch something twice, because the first time all you see is you, and all you'll do is pick it apart. He said, you need to see it twice. So I contacted Chris Chibnall, and Chris very kindly sent me a link so that I could watch it before the press release screening, because could you imagine being there and seeing yourself up on screen for the first time in 35 years, 37 years, I think, without having seen it first, and you're sitting there with a load of press? Yeah, that is not fun. That is just not fun. So that's what he did. And in fact, we had a great night. That was just wonderful. And somehow Doctor Who fans in the area, because it's a big university area, so there were a number of Doctor Who fans in the area who happened to notice that we were there, because they'd seen people arriving, and they sort of all were crowded around outside the cinema. Yeah.
It feels like you slipped straight into it. I mean, you're saying the first scene was the one, you're on the phone, you're having a conversation with Sophie who's not there, you've got someone reading in lines, you're outdoors, thrown in the first time.
Yeah, there's buzzing, there's planes going overhead. No, cut. Go again. You know, all of that was going on.
It feels like you have just slipped straight back into the role, though. Did it feel like it's where you were sitting?
No.
As an audience, okay.
No, I just felt naked terror.
Did you stop feeling terror by the end of the shoot?
Yeah, I did. And you know, Sophie and Gemma and I sort of were hanging out a lot on this, you know, and Patrick Kane, you know, who's so wonderful. Doesn't he look frightening as the Cyberman? Hey, oh my. What a brilliant costume and makeup that is. Ray Holman, the costume designer, was just splendid. Really splendid. And Jamie Stone, who's done the direction, I think's brilliant. We're going to hear a lot more of Jamie Stone.
So what was it like working with Peter on screen again?
Oh, yeah, that was lovely. But,
the fact that you were a lead and he was just a secondary character, did you enjoy that?
I think you can say I might have exploited it. So what had happened was Jodie, by the time he came down to do his stuff, Jodie had finished her work. So what they did was they gave me her Winnebago, and it's huge. I mean, it's the size of this room almost. It seems so. You know, it has not only does it have its own bathroom, its own dining room, its own living room, its own double bedroom. I mean, this is a house on wheels. And they gave it to me, and they put Peter in a two-way. You know, a little, and all you've got, I mean, you do have a loo, you know, and it's separate, but, you know, it's pretty basic. And so I might have rubbed it in a little bit, that the crew had done this.
Did invite him round, come round for drinks?
When I got back from lunch, there was an eviction notice that he'd had made for me. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, in terms of, it was all supposed to be secret, no one's supposed to know what's all going on. How hard was it to not be noticed in Cardiff?
Well, thankfully, we were wearing face masks. But, you know, I'm aware that there's a big fan base in Cardiff, huge. So Sophie and I never went out together. Sophie, Gemma and I, we didn't go out in public together. I wore my face mask if I was walking outside even most of the time. Sunglasses, you know, the works, so that I was anonymous. However, when David Bradley, Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy and Paul McGann came down to film their little sequence, they were all staying in the same hotel. And they went for dinner in that hotel. And there was somebody there, one of the waiters who was a Doctor Who fan, who wanted a photograph. So he took a photograph of the doctors and he tweeted it. Anyway, yeah.
Well, of course. I mean, I'm sure their NDA didn't count not being tweeted together with others.
Yeah.
So what for you in terms of the whole Power of the Doctor thing was the thing that you enjoyed the most about the experience?
I think working with everybody and being part of the, you know, very directly involved with the series. You know, I do watch the series now and have done since it came back. I love the modern series. I think it's brilliant. But
was there part of you sort of always hoping that you might get asked?
I guess so. I mean, I never really thought about it, if I'm honest, until fans started tweeting that there was a rumour and as it was coming towards the end of Chris's run and nobody had contacted me, you know, Chris Chibnall's run as showrunner, I thought, oh, well, it's not going to happen. Oh, well. But...
So you talk about you and Sophie and Gemma, who plays Kate Stewart, all gone really well together. There's some rumours around about the three of you doing an offshoot spin-off.
I know. And I promise you, I haven't heard anything.
But if there's an NDA, you'd have to say that.
I would. Yeah. I know. Well, you know, tweet away, guys. If you want to let Russell T know that that's what you'd like, far be it from me to in any way.
So if you were asked, would you do it?
Yeah, of course I would.
No hesitation.
Are you kidding?
If you enjoyed what you heard in this clip from the Sirens of Audio podcast, be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you never miss out on another episode from us. And if you want to find out more about us, including our back catalogue of episodes, you can head over to sirensofaudio.com.